before we get into the review, look, man, support your boys. There's a multitude of ways that you could do that by watching this episode or by watching this review. You are supporting us. But the ultimate way that you can support us is by becoming a Patreon. Whole bunch of dope shit. You can go on there. You can actually influence the things that we do on the show and get exclusive stuff. Changes coming in 2020. But look, another major way that you can support us, you see the t-shirt. Look at show them the t-shirt, Ken. That ain't gaming. It's a YouTube channel. It's a podcast. Also, we have a whole podcast network, man. We got hella shows up there. They're all entertaining. I already told you what you can do. Appreciate it. Back to the review. Mac Miller's Circles. Which one was the album that we did not release? Swimming. So, Mac Miller passed back in 2018, and I know a lot of our fan base wanted us to do that project, and we actually reviewed it, but how we felt about that project and the state of Mac Miller wasn't good. And then literally he passed like a couple of days after we recorded that project. So in respect to Mac Miller, we didn't release that. So this album is 12 songs, 49 minutes long, and since we reviewed Swimming, I never went back to listen to it, but I had to go back, and I even went back to the Divine Feminine, because on the show, I have been the biggest Mac Miller fan, and I'm still a fan of his overall work, but this sound, this almost, I don't even know what genre, because I don't really listen to this genre like that, but like, guitar-y, almost pop.
It's almost pop, like a soft pop type of sound.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it started with the Divine Feminine, and I went back and I listened to that. I think we reviewed that and that came out, didn't like that, listened to Swimming, and I'm like, okay, that's where this sound started, and that's not the Mac Miller I like. To me, Mac Miller wasn't the craziest of spitters, but I thought his flow was always really dope, you know what I'm saying? He's worked with a lot of artists that I fuck with. So when he started making that left turn to this, you gotta start to look at what's happening with him, right? Because a lot of times art is a reflection of self, and I think this is the type of stuff that he was dealing with. And listening to this album, man, like that first song, Circle, was too eerie. Like it was almost weird listening to this, knowing that he passed. Talking about all of his problems, and he tried to fix it, but he knows it. It starts back at the point that what I'm saying, like. It's just like, wow. And then the song Good News, like, man, that one too, that's like mad eerie.
That was the single, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's mad eerie knowing like what happened to him, and it's almost like he almost predicted this. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you could hear the issues that he's going through. It was kind of weird then, just from a musical standpoint, but for him to actually overdose in 2018, and this is kind of where his mind state was. It's just kind of sad, really.
I don't look at it as a prediction. I almost look at it as just like, this is where he was at the time. Because a prediction is like, oh yeah, I know I'm about to pass.
True.
Or whatever. So it's more so like, this is how I'm feeling, so I'm gonna record the music in the state that I'm in right now. This is what I want to sing or rap about.
100%. And I definitely think that Mac Miller was always honest in his music, and he wasn't a person that really followed trends. So I definitely agree with that. And maybe I misspoke a little bit in terms of, him foreshadowing his death, but 100%, like it was just a weird place for Mac.
I think he did follow trends. I think when he wanted to do something different, he created the alter egos. But with his music primarily, I heard.
What was trendy outside of Blue Side Park?
It was one album we did that
Watching
was
movies
very,
with the sound off.
Very trendy.
That wasn't trendy. Good AM was okay. I give you like the track on Good AM that had Miguel on it. But outside of that, like that wasn't trendy.
What is it about this particular sound that you don't like from him? Or you just prefer something else over it?
I prefer something else. Like I like when he raps.
Yeah.
I like when he raps. This type of music isn't what I typically listen to, and I don't think he does it like the best. Like I think he's honest and genuine with it. It's not like he's just doing it just to follow a trend. He's being real. It's just that it's not what I like from him. as an artist. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool. I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of people that like this, but personally, I don't.
I liked everything except the rapping on here. And it's all about like sound and what you listen to. And I would have been interested in hearing where he went with this particular sound and direction.
Now, I'll put it to you like this. I definitely think this is better than Divine Feminine and Swimming.
Yeah, I don't even remember those projects.
Yeah, like when I went back, like I wanted to make sure I was correct in that compare contrast. Like I enjoyed this one better than those two, but it's just not my musical wheelhouse.
Like you said, Feefo, I mean, if it's coming from an honest place, that's cool, because that's good that he's showing that he can be vulnerable, but I just don't like it. I actually like Blue World just because of the beat. I feel like when he has more like more I don't know, it's something about that beat I just like. It reminds me of some DiBiase, Flying Lotus type shit. But when he's rhyming over interesting beats that I like, then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna listen just for the fact of the production. Like the production, if he's rhyming over good production, that's gonna excite me more than Mac Miller, the MC himself. So I just come to terms with that. I think I just as listening to this and kind of remembering some of the other stuff that we reviewed before, I just like him over better beat. Like when he's on good beats that I enjoy, I listen.
So let me ask you this. I know you said you weren't a fan of the singing, which I would understand. What about the beats though? What about the production? Like, do you like the production on this album?
No, I didn't like that whole guitar riffs type stuff that he was.
It's very, very, very somber. Very somber.
I didn't like, yeah.
But that's what I kind of liked about it. Though.
Yeah, I like the beats.
It was a real moody, because the first time I listened to it, it was like background music, and it sounded great as background music. And then I gave it an active listen a couple of days ago, and I was like, all right, this isn't bad. Like, you know, I get you on the guitar riffs a little bit. That I had to get used to that, but over time,
so you thought like him singing didn't sound bad?
Nah, I liked it.
I didn't think his singing sounded bad.
Man, the beginning. I don't mean.
I didn't think it sounded bad. B.
The beginning of Everybody, when he started off Everybody, that sounded good.
Well, it's not like a oh, this dude is a soul singer or a pop singer. It didn't sound bad to me.
There's a vibe.
Yeah.
And there's a vibe that goes along with it that I think he blends in well with with the production and
really?
You know, his voice. Yeah.
You disagree, Myke?
No, I'm just enjoying the conversation.
No, man, what's up?
I was just waiting for them to be done. It wasn't that I wasn't gonna say anything.
Oh, okay.
But I'm with Ken. This is the first Mac Miller project that I've even found tolerable. Yeah. Not only did I find it tolerable, I fucking love this album. The funny thing is, I'm so with Ken. Hands was my least favorite track. The reason being, that's the one he rapped on. I was listening to this album, and I promise you, I got 3 songs in, and I had to stop. And I was like, do I like a Mac Miller project? I was like, this is weird. Because when it started off with Circles, that kind of bells and chime kind of beat, and then the thing about his voice, he's not a good singer. Yeah. He's not. He's a passionate singer, though. And I think when he sings that kind of mumbled approach he does with these very airy beats, even the Complicated, which had that more upbeat kind of synthy sound, the way he approached those songs, I thought was dope. So I had to stop the album. And I was like, okay, have I been bugging? So I went back to Swimming. Still do not like Swimming at all. And I realized I simply do not like him rapping. Him singing, I think is great. Every song, with the exception of Hands, I was sitting here slapping myself like, what the fuck is going on? When you say Everybody, that's the song where I was stopped. I was like, this album is brilliant.
Really?
So, do you listen to the band Love?
No.
Do you know who they are?
I'm not familiar.
So Love is one of my favorite bands. And they were one of the bands that I got into when I was young, because I think I've told y'all before, there weren't a lot of black people in rock when I was a teenager. So when I found Love, their singer Arthur Lee was a black guy. And I was like, okay, this is cool. Someone besides Jimi Hendrix. This is as like a 12 or 13 year old.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I've been in love with this band. They're like an old 60s kind of like, not 60s, like 70s kind of like psychedelic rock band. That song, Everybody, is a take on a Love song, which is called Everybody's Gotta Live, is the name of the Love song. And the way he took that idea, it's almost a cover, but he changed some of the patterns up. He changed some of the lyrics up to go along with what he was feeling. And when I heard that, I was just like, God damn, this shit is fucking brilliant. I have not stopped listening to this album. Because I only listened to this because I thought you were not going to be on the review. So had you not done that, I would not have listened to this album. But this album blew me away. And I'm so... Not that I wasn't upset about him dying. Even though I didn't like his music, I thought he was a very interesting guy, and he seemed like a nice guy. Everybody loved him. So he's one of those type of dudes where you just feel like, I want to be his friend, and I want to like his music, but I just didn't. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, fuck. Musically, not personally, musically, now I'm looking at it like, I would have loved to see where you would have gone with this.
Yeah, I heard it was supposed to be part of a trilogy.
I heard that this is supposed to be part of Swimming. So this is supposed to be like a companion album to Swimming in Circles.
Okay, yeah.
So I think that if that's really what he was doing, and this also gave me, I know I'm being long-winded, but you talk for a minute too. This gave me that Kamuteo vibe, and I know I'm probably the only one that really loves Kamuteo, but Kamuteo was a rapper primarily. When he was dying from cancer, he started recording an album that was mostly like pop songs called King of Hearts. It was mostly pop songs where he was like singing, and it was like poppy and kind of upbeat, and he passed before he finished the album, and LP had to step in and finish the album for him. And it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. So the idea that you also have Mac Miller, who was also known for being a rapper, then he started doing this album that was more pop oriented, and he passed while he was finishing it, and somebody else had to step in and finish it. It gave me that same vibe. And I was like, God damn, like these two dudes were, in my opinion, like this sound, I don't know who sounds like this. Like when you say it was trendy, again, that's where I'm with you as opposed to Ken. I don't think you're saying everything other than this?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Him continuing to rap would have been fine for him. He was doing well doing that. But for him to switch up and make an album like this, with the fucking kind of 80s synth poppy sounds, bro, I get why you don't like it. That's not your thing.
Oh yeah.
I get why you don't like it. That's not your thing. I understand why Ken does like it. And you're kind of one of those toss-ups, so I can never really call you. But y'all, I pre-ordered the fucking record. Dog. And you know what? Full disclosure, before anybody starts typing in with your bullshit, full disclosure, I don't know if part of me is saying, Myke, you like this because he's not around, and him passing is putting an air over this album that is making the theme or the ideas a little bit deeper. Full disclosure, that could be what it is. I don't know. Only thing I can say with certainty is I fucking love this project, except Hands. Everything else, it's great.
That's on me. The way that hook is, that shit.
Oh man,
love that shit too. And I'm glad you did it because when we went to the Little Brother thing, I was listening to it on the way to the show.
You said that, but you didn't say if you liked it or not. So I was like, oh, it must be whack.
Oh, because I didn't know if we were gonna do it. I think it had been mentioned, but I wasn't for certain. I think I may have told Adon that I was interested in the sound and where he was going. And I have that same feeling, like you. It's not like the rapping, I don't really rock with, but what he was doing here, I feel like his passing, we missed out on where he could have gone potentially. If he would have stayed in his lane, I think he probably would have done a mixture of both. When I referenced the alter egos, I think he had, I was looking it up, he had Delusional Thomas, Larry Fisherman, and Larry Love's I want to say. And that's where he started to kind of play around with, from what I remember. I haven't listened to this stuff in a very long time, but I knew that's where he kind of, and some of these artists would create these alter egos to kind of do different things and play around with different things that wouldn't necessarily impact them as an artist. So it's a playground. And he would do that there with this album isn't trendy. This is him going away from the trend. And with this singing, this indie 80s pop thing that you talked about, like this fits him so well.
It really does.
And the way he's able to kind of sink into that, I don't know if he was if he was really feeling some of the things they was writing about, and I want to believe that he did, because I think he was very personal at times with his music, would accentuate it to make it that much better. But even if he was just writing songs and telling other people's stories, the way he was able to transform himself and to be able to capture that and put that out on record, I was blown away. I was like you. I said, damn, am I really? Because I'm hit or miss with Mac Miller projects. If you guys go listen to some of the old reviews, you'll hear that. Some I like, some I don't. And it all depends on the sound that he adopts. But this, with the production that stood out to me first, his singing as well, some of the hooks that he did, and then just the content of the lyrics.
Yeah. It was put together really well.
I was like, wow.
I feel like if he had rapped some of these lines, it wouldn't have hit me.
I agree.
Some of the lines he had on here, because it sounded like he was pulling himself out of that hole with a lot of these lyrics, because he said shit like, now I'm switching location because heaven's too far when you live in a basement. Mm-hmm. If he had rapped that, I still would have thought it would have been an okay line, but it wouldn't have hit me. But when he sang it, it was like, damn, I feel what you're saying. Like, you've been living in this basement for so long and you're trying to get yourself out because you're trying to get closer to what would make you happy. And then he, on Complicated, like the whole hook where he's like, why does it gotta be so complicated? And he said something like, I'm way too young to be getting old. Yeah. If he had rapped that, like, whatever. But when he sings it, for some reason, it just hits better. I think that you don't have to be fucking Luther Vandross to be a good singer and get your point across. Mac Miller didn't have a great voice, but he had a way of making these words really, really hit when he sings them.
I want to make sure people don't think that, like, I hate it, because I don't hate it. Like I said, it's not in my wheelhouse. It's not what I prefer. But yes, the lyrics are there, like everything. Because I know you said that you don't, like, when he raps, his lyrics don't hit you.
I think it's because I just don't enjoy his flow. When he raps, I really don't. You know what it is also? I think when he raps, he sounds too kidsy to me. I like this. And it's interesting that this was his last project. This is Kamuteo all over again. It's so fucking eerie the way this worked out. But I don't remember the guy's name that stepped in and did this.
What's his name? Jon Brion. Yeah.
Man, he did Mac Miller a solid, because he really did a great job. You would never know that this wasn't a finished project.
Yeah, right. So I was gonna ask you, so like how much of it wasn't finished and what did Buddy do? Okay,
I don't know. Like when you listen to Camus' album, you can tell it wasn't finished because there's verses missing or whatever. You can tell it wasn't finished. With this one, it sounded like this was finished.
Yeah,
it sounded like
Mac just needed to hit go on.
Yes.
Complicated was the first one that I added to my library. That was the first one that I was like,
yeah, that one gets stuck in my head.
Yeah,
so good.
Complicated.
Yeah, man,
so good, bro.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Then Blue World. Good News, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Then it got back into.
Yeah.
Good News is cool,
Good
but
News
it was
great, man.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
It's a great track.
Great. That
Is
mellow
he rapping
beat.
on that?
No, that's the single.
It's got the really mellow beat.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of just singing. And
It feels like he's rapping.
you know
on
what?
that.
Here's the thing. He's rapping the way you would say Kid Cudi raps.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's that weird kind of in between. And I think that in between is a perfect spot for him. And it sucks that we're not going to hear any more of it.
Okay.
I would have loved to hear him and Kid Cudi do something together. Because I think it would have been fucking genius.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would have been genius.
Would have been.
That's why I'm glad you actually did listen to it, because even if you didn't like it, I just wanted to at least discuss like the musical direction he was going, because I thought that was really interesting. I remember asking myself, like, is it Brion or is it Mac? And I think
It's
it. Huh?
I think it's Mac.
I think it's Mac, because I think he. And I just have to, I guess, watch interviews with it to just come to a solid conclusion on it. Because I was wondering, where did the production come from? Where did the direction come from? Like, and it feels like, based on what he was doing with his other albums, that this was something in a place where he wanted to go, but I wasn't sure. I am, though, surprised, B, that you don't at least like the production. Because it's so, but it's mellow and smooth. B,
But it's not the type of production that B would.
It's not jazzy smooth.
Yeah.
It's like
not.
fucking
Yeah.
old talk smooth. Or
Yeah.
old, like,
Yeah.
or old, like, I'm trying to think of another band, like,
And I'm glad you said that.
Depeche Mode smooth.
Yeah.
It's not jazzy smooth.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that because when I first listened to it, I wanted it to be jazzy smooth. I've been listening to a lot of jazz with the baby being here and stuff. I've been listening to a lot of jazz, and I was like, dang, I want this to sound jazzy. So the first time I was like, dang, I don't know. And the second time I was like, no, I get it. It fits. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It really does, man. It really sounded to me like he was accepting what was happening in his life and he was trying to pull himself out of it. So that was the part where I walked away and I was like, damn, it almost seemed like he was trying to get better. And then something happened and it hit him.
And I'm not saying that he's not, and I agree with you, but at the same time, you know that like when you're fucked up, trying to get better, you're still fucked up
It's
until
tough.
you're
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the vibes that I took from
I
it.
get you. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because of how the music sounds, like he's not singing happy on a lot of this. There's a couple of tracks where his voice is a little higher. You feel that okay, he does feel like he's sounding like he's better, but on a lot of it, that's not what I took away. I took
get what
away
you mean
like
now.
I'm still in the process. I'm still hurting
Because of how it sounds.
Because of how it sounds.
I get that.
I echo the sentiments of Myke. Like when this album dropped and you look online and you see like a lot of people that were, and I understand like a lot of diehard fans when they were emotional when Mac died. So you get this project, you listen to it, the sound of it, you know, is very moody. I can understand of them, you know, being very emotional and having a reaction to it. And that's what I expected when I put it on. I was like, where is that in this album that's gonna pull that out of the people that were listening to it? And I didn't hear that in here.
So my favorite tracks are Circles, Good News, That's on Me, and Give Me Once a Day.
Circle, Complicated, That's on Me, Blue World, and I guess I could see.
Do you have anything, B?
Blue World.
Oh, that's right. You do like Blue World.
Man, I really love this whole project, but Complicated, definitely. I Can See, definitely. Everybody, man. I'm gonna say Good News and Once a Day. Once a Day is one of the most beautiful songs I've heard so far this year.
You know, to everybody watching, y'all already know, man, Mac Miller was definitely one of my favorites. And I miss him, you know, and hearing this album, it made me miss him more. You know, I think that's maybe why I didn't like it as much, because I kind of know that, you know, this is kind of where he was and this is all that we're going to get. So it's sad. You know what I'm saying? We've lost a lot of good ones, and Mac Miller was definitely in that pool. And yeah, man, you know, R.I.P. man.
Listening to this, we definitely probably missed out on what he could have been musically or where he was going. And I think that was the takeaway that I got when I finished listening to this project. I'm like, man, like, what was next? And that's what I asked myself. So, fortunately, and for those of you that do like it, we were gifted with this project, and this is a lasting impression. I'm glad that I do like the last album that he put out. You know, so I'll leave it at that.
Rest in peace, Mac Miller, first of all. But yeah, it's just he never was like my cup of tea throughout these years. And I know Mac Miller was definitely important in this culture, but it's just someone just wasn't my cup of tea. But I'm glad that he's touched a lot of people, you know, in this time being here and stuff. Whether it was music or personally. I think Myke said it perfect. It's like even though he probably wasn't a fan of his music, but he seemed like he was such a cool dude.
Rest in peace, Mac Miller. I'm happy to be walking away from the Mac Miller legacy happy, because this was an amazing project, and I think that he left us with the impression that he was going to be doing some next level shit with his career. And I think it's sad in general, because he seemed like such a great guy that I always felt like I wish I liked his music. I felt the same way that I felt when Nipsey's name would come up. You know, these guys touched so many people in these amazing ways, and I always felt left out because their music never connected with me. But with Mac Miller's final project, he connected. This hit all of the right notes for me. And yeah, I put my money where my mouth is, and I bought this immediately. I'm still looking at myself in the mirror, being like, what's happening? You know, what's going on? But I'm just happy to walk away from a final Mac Miller project and say, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this album. I'm a fan of him as a person, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So rest in peace, Mac Miller, and my condolences and all that to his day one fans, and hopefully y'all are as happy with his final product as I am.